Hey, welcome back to another Sweaty Sci Fi Nerds. I'm Jon Schnepp, and with me I've got Chris Gore, a founder of Film Threat, and you've seen him on G4. He's going to be talking with me about this week. We've got Blade Runner, all right? Now, if you've never seen Blade Runner, it came out in 1982, and it is, I think, to me, one of the best science fiction films ever made. Chris, what do you think about Blade Runner?
Absolutely one of the best sci-fi movies ever made. And what's great about that movie is, if you haven't seen it, you have to see it because it holds up to today. A lot of the stuff that we watch now, the special effects actually do not, hold up.
They don't hold up.
You can see the line around the green screen or the blue screen, around their heads, and the special effects in Blade Runner really, really and not only that, you've got everything from the score to Harrison Ford in his prime.
You got Vangelis rocking it. I mean,
oh my God, and just like it's also I love a sci-fi movie where I think about that movie after. It's not, the experience doesn't end with the credits. It continues on in your thinking and discussing.
And I think we're going to keep thinking about it up until 2019 when it was actually supposed to be the Los Angeles of the future. Here we are in 2015. This movie came out in 1982. Well, we're still talking about it. It's still relevant.
Right, and this is what's crazy now. We live in a time now where we're actually seeing, because a lot of the sci-fi was, well, the sci-fi is way in the future, right. Star Trek was always set in the 23rd century, right? We're not going to live to see that, but I mean, we're actually seeing these near future things that are happening.
4 years from now, Blade Runner.
Yeah, and then 2015, we're already living in, Marty McFly's 2015.
Right, we might not have spinners, but we do have a flying car. It doesn't really work too well
But what's weird that Blade Runner predicted what would happen in culture, in society, where we would see a mishmash. And living in Los Angeles, as you and I do, you look at LA, and LA has become, if you just have flying cars, it's Blade Runner now. We live in Blade Runner. There's Chinatown. There's people speaking a mishmash of different languages. It's very culturally diverse. I like it because of the food. But the characters in Blade Runner, I mean, you could see, from the pollution and everything else, we're kind of living that. And with global warming going the way it is,
yeah, we might be all having the rain suits and the weirdness, and no more animals.
Right.
Sadly, I don't really want to live in a Blade Runner world. Right. But to me, it's one of the greatest science fiction films because it's also an adult science fiction story. I mean, it came out a few years after Star Wars. Mm-hmm. You had Han Solo, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's going to be some action film," and it's a drama. It's a thriller just set in the future, and it's really about a guy having to retire. Are they human androids? Replicants is what they were called, but they were basically like synthetic humans. And are they real? Do they have their own rights just as you and I do? So.
And begs the question, should gay robots be allowed to marry?
Well, in the future, they're not allowed to do anything but, basically be human slaves. I mean, it was adapted from Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Mm-hmm. Philip K. Dick. But yeah, I mean, I remember reading that book, and what a tough read. I remember reading it when I was like 10. I was
it's weird,
it's a hard read.
When you read some of the adaptations of some of these science fiction novels had almost nothing to do with with the original source material. I remember reading Logan's Run when I was a kid in 3rd grade, when the movie first came out, and I was, I'm going to read the novel of it, and it owes almost nothing. In fact, in the Logan's Run novel, they kill you when you're 21.
Yes, it's the
totally
first young adult book ever, before young adult was
kind of
a
young, it's actually, if they made Logan's Run now, it would be more of that sort of young adult thing.
Divergent weirdness. Yeah.
Yes, all that sort of weird culture stuff, But Blade Runner, I mean, it stands the test of time as one of the all-time great science fiction films.
Which version of Blade Runner is your favorite? Like, they had the 1982 version, then it came out on VHS with extra violence. I don't know if you remember that. Right. Then there was the director's cut, and then there was the final cut. And of course, with the Blu-ray, there was a work print version.
Yeah, there were 5 different versions of it that came out on the Blu-ray. I happen to like the work print version because it doesn't have it's rumored that Harrison Ford, when he went in to do the voiceover, kind of, spoke in this monotone voice, hoping that they would not use the voiceover, and then they did. I like that version, the work print version, that doesn't have the voiceover, because it uses actually temp music from Planet of the Apes. I don't know why I noticed that, but I love the Planet of the Apes score.
Well, my answer is I love all versions.
Yeah,
because all of them have a little bit of something different in them, and it's just a little extra, you know?
It's kind of like I love cheeseburgers, but every once in a while I like a bacon cheeseburger. Sometimes I like fried onions.
Right.
And that's what the Blade Runner different versions are. They're like different versions of the same
Remember,
thing.
they don't have animals in the future, so if you're a vegetarian like me, it's all veggie burgers in Blade Runner. All right, so that's it for us. We're going to wrap it up. Chris, where can people find you online?
You can find me at chrisgore.com or follow me on Twitter at @thatchrisgore.
And thanks again. We're talking about Blade Runner. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Sweaty Sci Fi Nerds. Hey, if you like this show, get sweaty and click on theStream.tv and check out all these other weirdos. There's a lot of them on theStream.tv.